You ever start a game thinking, I'll just play for an hour, and next thing you know, it's 2 AM and your legs are numb? Yeah, some games just pull you in so hard that you completely lose track of time. Whether you're grinding for better gear, exploring every corner, or just vibing with the side quests, these games are massive time sinks. So if you're looking for something to get lost in for weeks or even months, here are 20 massive single-player games that'll glue you to your screen. Metal Gear Solid V: The Phantom Pain. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is one of those games where you'll load it up just to do a quick mission and somehow end up sinking 5 hours into it without even realizing. It's not because of some crazy non-stop action. In fact, most of the game is pretty slow and methodical, but it's the freedom and flexibility that keeps you hooked. Every mission is basically a massive playground, and there are so many ways to approach it that you'll keep coming back just to mess around. The core gameplay loop is what makes it so addictive. You'll be sneaking into enemy bases, knocking out guards, and extracting soldiers, vehicles, and even animals back to your base, and thanks to the open-ended level design, you can tackle objectives however you want. You can go in guns blazing, clear the place out with airstrikes and rocket launchers, or take the slow, stealthy route, marking every enemy with your binoculars and picking them off one by one. There's no right way to do anything, and that's what makes it so fun. Every mission feels like your own unique story, and the tools you have make the game stupidly fun to experiment with. You'll unlock tons of weapons, gadgets, and vehicles, but the real star is the Fulton recovery system. You can strap a balloon to literally anything: guards, trucks, machine gun turrets, goats, and watch them get yanked into the sky while they scream in confusion. It never gets old. But what really sucks you in is the base building and management. Every time you extract a soldier or vehicle, they get sent back to Mother Base, which you can expand and upgrade. You'll be recruiting specialists, improving your R&D department, and developing better weapons and gear. It gives the game a weirdly addictive strategy layer where you'll keep doing side ops just to bring in more elite soldiers or rare resources. And while the story itself is a bit disjointed, it's still packed with classic Metal Gear moments. You've got over-the-top boss fights, dramatic cutscenes, and weird, creepy supernatural elements mixed with gritty military realism. Even if you don't fully understand the lore, because let's be real, who does, you'll still get swept up in the emotional moments and Kojima's signature brand of bizarre storytelling.
Pull the trigger.
Lately, I've been looking for ways to make my setup faster and less cluttered, and I ended up trying out the Ulanzi D200H deck dock. Honestly, it's been way more useful than I expected. At first glance, I thought it was just another stream deck, but after setting it up, I realized it's more like a full-on macro keyboard. And for just $90, you're getting features that feel way more professional than the price suggests. I've been using it a lot for gaming, putting combos and repeated actions onto single buttons so I don't have to mash keys over and over. But it's also super handy for normal computer stuff, like opening apps or switching profiles depending on what I'm doing. The setup couldn't be easier either. You literally just drag and drop, no coding at all. Even though there are 14 buttons, you can make multiple profiles, and each profile holds up to 10 pages. So yeah, you're not running out of space anytime soon. If you want to check it out, I've got the link for you down below. Now, let's jump back into the video. Divinity Original Sin 2. Sin 2 is a massive creative RPG where you can do pretty much whatever you want, and the freedom is kinda ridiculous. You can fight your way through problems, talk your way out of them, or just murder everyone, including people who are actually important to the story, and somehow the game keeps going like it's totally fine with your chaos. The first thing that'll pull you in is the combat. It's turn-based, but doesn't feel slow or boring at all. Instead, it's like a puzzle where you have to think ahead and use your surroundings smartly. You can set oil on fire to block enemies, freeze water to make them slip, or zap a poison cloud with lightning to create a huge explosion. The game rewards creativity, so you'll spend way too much time testing out weird combos just for fun. And honestly, some of the best moments are when your dumb idea actually works, like teleporting an enemy into a lava pit or charming a chicken to peck a boss to death. But the real hook is the freedom in how you play. You're not stuck on one path. You can side with whoever you want, or just betray everyone and become a total menace. You can sneak into castles by turning into a barrel, or convince NPCs to fight each other just to save yourself the trouble. The game lets you be clever, and it makes you feel smart when your crazy plans work. And the world itself is packed with stuff to do. You'll stumble into hidden caves, secret treasure, and entire side quests just by wandering off the main path. You might run into a talking squirrel, on a skeleton cat, a man who thinks he's already dead, or even possessed chickens plotting revenge. The game is full of weird, funny moments, and it never takes itself too seriously. But it's not just goofy, the characters and story are genuinely emotional too. You'll meet complicated companions like Lozy, who's possessed by a demon and slowly losing herself. Or Sibyl, a former slave seeking revenge on her master. You'll care about their stories and actually feel bad when you mess up their quests. And the choices you make actually matter. You can be kind, cruel, or somewhere in between, and the game remembers everything you do. And if you're into role-playing, this game will eat your life. You can create your own character with a custom backstory, or play as one of the origin characters, each with their own personal quests and unique dialogue. And the best part, you can play it all in co-op with a friend. The game doesn't hold back. If you and your buddy disagree, you can literally backstab each other mid-quest and ruin the entire plan, which somehow makes the game even more fun. Days Gone. Days Gone is one of those games that sneaks up on you. At first, it just seems like another zombie game, but the more you play, the more you realize it's way deeper than that. It's not just about fighting off freakers, zombies, it's about surviving in a brutal world, holding on to hope, and watching your character slowly break and rebuild. And because the game is huge and packed with things to do, you'll probably spend over 100 hours without even realizing it. The open world itself is what pulls you in. It's grim, lonely, and strangely beautiful. You'll be riding your motorcycle across forests, mountains, and abandoned towns, and while it looks peaceful at times, you're always one bad decision away from disaster. You'll run into ambushes, traps, or massive freaker hordes, and you'll have to think fast or get absolutely wrecked. The game constantly keeps you on edge, making every ride feel dangerous but exciting. And man, the freaker hordes are no joke. The first time you stumble across one, you'll probably panic and run for your life. These aren't your typical slow zombies. They're fast, aggressive, and absolutely relentless. The game doesn't ease you into them either. You'll be minding your own business and suddenly hear hundreds of freakers screaming in the distance, charging at you like a tidal wave of death. It's terrifying and thrilling, and even when you're powerful, they never stop being a genuine threat. But it's not just about the action. The story and characters actually hit surprisingly hard. You play as Deacon St. John, a drifter and biker who's haunted by the loss of his wife. At first, he comes off as cold and reckless, but as the game goes on, you see his layers. He's loyal, vulnerable, and genuinely broken, which makes his journey really personal. The relationship between Deacon and his best friend Boozer is easily one of the highlights. Their brotherly bond feels real, and watching them struggle with loss, hope, and survival makes the story surprisingly emotional. And let's talk about the crafting and survival mechanics, because that's where the game really shines. You'll scavenge for parts, craft molotovs, traps, and ammo, and constantly repair your bike. And your bike? It's basically a character of its own. You'll upgrade it, paint it, and treat it like your lifeline, because without it, you're screwed. Running out of gas in the middle of nowhere is genuinely terrifying, especially when you're low on ammo and surrounded by freakers. The game's also packed with side content. You'll clear out enemy camps, hunt for collectibles, and take on side missions that sometimes feel just as meaningful as the main quest. There's also a real sense of progression. As you upgrade Deacon's skills and your gear, you'll go from barely surviving to taking on entire hordes like a total badass. Persona 3 Reload.
Come, Persona!
Persona 3 Reload isn't just a game, it's an entire second life. Once you dive into it, you'll lose track of time completely, spending dozens of hours balancing dungeon crawling, socializing, and just vibing in its moody, stylish world. Whether you're fighting shadows in the midnight hour, hanging out with your classmates, or just trying to get through midterms, the game constantly pulls you into its loop, and suddenly, you've sunk over 100 hours without even noticing. At its core, Persona 3 Reload is a JRPG mixed with a life simulator, and both parts are equally addicting. During the day, you'll be going to school, building friendships, and boosting your social stats. You'll spend time with different characters like your loyal dorm mates, eccentric classmates, and people you randomly meet around town. Each bond you build isn't just for fun, it unlocks new persona fusions and makes your character stronger in combat. But here's the thing, the characters are so well written that you'll actually get attached to them. You'll want to see every side story, not because you need the bonus stats, but because you genuinely care about their lives. And then, at night, everything takes a darker turn. You'll enter Tartarus, this massive ever-changing tower filled with creepy monsters, haunting music, and a strange, dreamlike atmosphere. The combat is classic turn-based JRPG action, but it's got a ton of depth. You'll switch between different personas, each with their own elemental powers and abilities, while exploiting enemy weaknesses to chain together devastating combos. The more you play, the more strategic and addictive the combat becomes. But what really makes Persona 3 Reload such a time sink is the constant sense of progression. You're always leveling up your personas, unlocking new abilities, and customizing your party. Even outside of combat, you'll be working on your social stats like charm, courage, and academics, so you can unlock even more dialogue options and relationship events. There's always something to improve, unlock, or experience, which makes it impossible to put down. And while the original Persona 3 was already a masterpiece, Reload takes everything to the next level. The visuals have been completely overhauled, making the world look far more vibrant and detailed, while the music has been re-recorded, giving the game a fresh yet familiar vibe. The expanded voice acting and extra story scenes also make the characters feel more fleshed out, pulling you even deeper into the story. But here's the kicker: if you're aiming for a completionist run, you're easily looking at 130, 150 plus hours. Between maxing out all social links, fully exploring Tartarus, completing side quests, and fusing every persona, the game constantly gives you reasons to keep playing. Even when you finish the main story, you'll probably start a new game plus just to experience the alternate social link outcomes and different choices.
Only one left.
You showed them Aragaki-senpai?
Show 'em.
That's 2 for 1!
Persona!
That's a win for the team!
Let's get going.
Good job, everyone!
Ghost of Tsushima. There aren't many games that make you stop mid-quest just to stare at the scenery, but Ghost of Tsushima does. It's the kind of game where you'll be riding through a forest of golden leaves or across a misty shoreline and suddenly forget you're supposed to be saving your homeland. The world is just that breathtaking. But don't let the pretty flowers fool you. This game will keep you busy for well over 100 hours if you want to see everything. What makes Tsushima so addictive isn't just the gorgeous open world, though it's how alive it feels. You're constantly stumbling onto hidden shrines, freeing villages from Mongol invaders, or following foxes to secret charms. And even though the map is massive, it never feels empty. Every corner has something worth exploring, whether it's a piece of lore, a duel against a wandering swordsman, or a scenic cliff you'll spend way too long admiring. And then there's the combat, which is where the game really gets its hooks into you. It's sharp, stylish, and incredibly satisfying. The duels feel like something straight out of a samurai film, with Jin and his enemies circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When you time a perfect parry and cut your opponent down in one clean slash, you'll feel like a legend, and the stance system adds real depth, forcing you to switch fighting styles on the fly based on your enemy. It keeps the combat fresh and tactical, even 50 hours in. But where Tsushima really eats up your time is in its side content. You'll swear you're only gonna do the main story, but before you know it, you're chasing foxes, tracking down haikus, and wiping out every Mongol camp on the island. Then there's the Iki Island expansion, which adds a new region with tougher enemies, more side quests, and a storyline that actually expands Jin's character. Fallout 4.
We got a dog, baby. I love her so.
You don't just play Fallout 4, you basically move into it. This game is so massive and packed with content that it'll swallow your free time whole without you even noticing. One minute you're following the main story, trying to find your kidnapped son, and the next thing you know, you've spent 3 hours building a settlement and still haven't made it past the second quest. What makes Fallout 4 so dangerously time-consuming is the sheer amount of freedom and distractions it throws at you. You'll start by simply wandering around the Wasteland, but then you'll spot a creepy abandoned building and just have to see what's inside. Next thing you know, you're looting raider camps, hacking terminals, and unlocking secret vaults filled with crazy lore. And that's just you getting sidetracked. The actual main game is massive on its own, with a long, branching story that changes based on your choices. The combat and progression are also ridiculously addicting. The VATC system, which lets you freeze time and target specific body parts, makes every fight feel cinematic and strategic, even when you're just gunning down random bandits. But the real fun comes from building your character. Whether you want to be a stealthy sniper, power armor tank, or a smooth-talking con artist, the perk system lets you create wildly different playstyles, making every run feel unique.
Do I look like I can afford that?
All right, $250.
And then there's the settlement building, which is basically a whole game on its own. You can construct houses, defenses, and entire thriving communities out of the random junk you find. What starts as you placing a couple of turrets turns into you designing a fully functioning town with shops, farms, and defenses. And the best part, you'll spend hours doing it even though you were supposed to be saving the world. The DLCs make the game even bigger. Far Harbor adds a massive fog-covered island with its own creepy mystery, while Nuka World throws you into a lawless theme park run by raiders, which feels like a game within a game. Even the Workshop DLCs add new building mechanics and gadgets, giving settlement builders even more ways to lose track of time. Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas is one of those open world RPGs that's rough around the edges, yeah, but man, it gets it. Like, it understands what makes open worlds fun, freedom, chaos, consequences, and choices that actually matter. This game lets you be whoever you want, do whatever you want, and screw over whoever you want, all in a dry, broken, post-nuclear wasteland that somehow still feels alive. The world is dusty, grimy, janky as hell sometimes, but it's got character. You're in the Mojave Wasteland, wandering through dried out towns, radioactive caves, rundown casinos, robot-controlled military camps. It's ugly, but it's real. Every place has a story, every person has an opinion, and they remember what you do. You side with one faction, you piss off another. You help someone now, they might back you up later. Or stab you in the back. Depends how you play. What makes New Vegas special is the freedom in how you shape the world. There are like 4 major factions: NCR, Caesar's Legion, Mr. House, and you can even go full solo wildcard style. And every choice you make ripples out. You might think, oh, I'll just do this quest, and 3 hours later you realize that one decision locked you out of a whole storyline. It's messy, but in a good way, like real consequence. Gameplay? It's the same engine as Fallout 3, so it's janky, let's be honest. The combat's kinda clunky, animations are stiff, and bugs? Oh yeah, tons, but somehow it doesn't matter. The writing, the characters, the branching dialogue, the world building, it all carries the game, and if you're on PC, there are mods that clean a lot of that stuff up. Oh, and the tone, it walks that line between serious political drama and dark comedy perfectly. You've got tragic war stories, weird cults, cannibal families running hotels, Elvis impersonator gangs. It's wild, but it never feels forced. It fits the world. Fallout New Vegas ain't pretty, but it's smart, reactive, and full of personality. It trusts the player. It says, here's the wasteland, good luck, and sometimes that's all you need. Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk 2077 drops you into Night City, and right from the start, it hits you with how big and detailed everything is. This isn't just an open world to run through, it actually feels like a place people live in. Streets are packed with noise, ads, lights, and people doing their thing. You'll walk past street vendors, hear music blasting from shops, see gangs hanging around corners. It's a lot, but in a good way. Every time you look around, there's something to catch your eye. You play as V, a merc trying to climb the ranks in the city. The game gives you a lot of freedom in how you build your version of V. You want to sneak around and hack stuff? You can. You want to run in with a shotgun and blow up everything? Go for it. You can even install big robot arms or blades that come out of your wrists. There are tons of ways to play, and that's part of what makes it fun. You get to decide how you want to handle situations. The missions are open-ended too. You can take different paths depending on your skills. Sometimes you'll talk your way through a problem, or maybe find a backdoor and avoid a fight. Other times you'll just go in loud and take everyone down. It never feels like the game is forcing you to play a certain way. It lets you experiment and try stuff out. The city itself is packed with side quests, jobs, and cool little moments. You've got main story missions that go deep into characters and choices, and then you've got all these gigs on the side, like helping a cop, stealing a car, hunting down dangerous people, or doing weird jobs for strangers. A lot of those side stories are actually really well written and interesting, sometimes even more than the main quest. Just driving around feels good too, especially on a motorcycle. Just riding through the city at night with the lights flashing past you feels awesome. There's also a fast travel travel system, but honestly, half the time you'll want to just drive and enjoy the view. The city's broken into different areas too, like rich districts, dirty back streets, deserts outside the city, and each one has its own vibe. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 is great if you like RPGs with freedom, good action, and a super detailed world. It's not perfect, but the core gameplay and the city itself are seriously fun once you get into it. Witcher 3.
The land of love and wine.
This is the open world RPG that changed the game for a lot of people. It's huge, yeah, but it's not just big for the sake of it. Every area feels like it matters. Every quest feels like it was written by an actual human, not just thrown in. And the world, it's dark, detailed, and full of life, even if a lot of that life wants to kill you. But you play as Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter for hire, kinda like a medieval bounty hunter with magic. He's not a chosen one or some fresh-faced hero. He's grumpy, experienced, and honestly just trying to get paid and find the girl he sees as his daughter. What makes Geralt cool is that he already knows the world. You're not building a character from scratch, you're stepping into the boots of someone who's been around, and that makes the writing feel way more natural. The world is split into a few giant areas: Velen, Novigrad, Skellige, and more, and they're packed. Forests, cities, villages, swamps, mountains, islands, you name it. You're constantly running into weird stuff off the path. One minute you're hunting a werewolf, the next you're helping a ghost get closure or dealing with some dude who made a deal with a demon and now regrets it. And the crazy part, even the smallest side quests are well written. They're not just fetch quests. Most of them have twists or emotional beats that hit harder than you'd expect. Combat's solid, not perfect. You've got swords, signs, which are like little spells, bombs, oils, potions, and you'll need to prep before fights. Like, if you're going after a vampire, you better read about it and bring the right tools. It's not just hack and slash. It rewards planning. And the choices? Yeah, they matter, not in a flashy good versus evil kind of way, but in a more realistic sense. You might make a decision thinking it's the right one and later find out you screwed someone over without meaning to. The game doesn't hold your hand, it trusts you to deal with the mess. That's what makes the world feel real. So yeah, The Witcher 3 is that rare game where everything just clicks. Story, world, characters, quests, it all works together. It's the kind of game you think about even after you finish it, not just because of what happened, but because of how you played it. And for open world RPGs, that's the gold standard. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Easily one of the most unique open world RPGs out there. It might not look or feel like your usual modern RPG at first glance, but the more time you spend with it, the more it pulls you in with its deep combat, weird systems, and that unpredictable, wild sense of adventure. You start off as a regular villager, literally a nobody, and suddenly a dragon shows up, wrecks your town, and rips your heart out. And somehow, you're still alive? That's how you become the Arisen, someone tied to the dragon by fate. It sounds dramatic, but the game doesn't treat you like some unstoppable hero. You gotta earn it. Now, the open world here feels dangerous and raw. It's not overly massive, but it's full of risks. You'll walk into a forest at night and suddenly get ambushed by bandits or wolves, or worse, run into a chimera or ogre you have no business fighting, yet nighttime especially is terrifying. It gets dark duck, and if you're not carrying a lantern, you're basically blind. That kind of design pushes you to think ahead and stay alert, and it makes every trip feel like a real journey. Where Dragon's Dogma really stands out is the combat. It's fast, responsive, and surprisingly deep. You've got climbing mechanics that let you grab onto huge enemies like ogres or griffins and stab them in weak spots while they're flying or thrashing around. Different classes like fighter, strider, mage, etc. play completely differently, and you can switch between them as you level up. Whether you're using swords, bows, or magic, it all feels satisfying, kind of like a mix between Dark Souls and Monster Hunter, with a bit of Devil May Cry energy in how flashy some moves are. Then there's the pawn system, which is honestly kind of wild. You create a companion, your main pawn, who levels up with you and learns from your behavior. You also hire 2 other pawns made by real players, and they bring with them knowledge from quests and enemies they've seen in their game. So even when you're playing offline, it feels connected. It adds a strange but cool dynamic, especially when your pawn gives useful advice or gets picked by other players and comes back with gifts or gold. Story-wise, it's kind of light on cutscenes and heavy exposition, especially early on. A lot of it is left vague or hidden in dialogue and lore, but toward the end, and especially in the Dark Arisen expansion, it dives into some surprisingly deep stuff. The final act and post-game areas like Bitter Black Isle are dark, intense, and packed with tough enemies and rare loot. That dungeon alone adds hours of challenging content. Now, yeah, it's got some rough edges. The world can feel a bit empty in places. The fast travel system is limited on purpose, and inventory management isn't the best. Some people bounce off it early because it doesn't explain things well, but if you stick with it, the game opens up into something really special. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is one of those RPGs where the journey feels dangerous, the fights are exciting, and your choices in class and companions really matter. It doesn't hold your hand, and that's kind of the point. It wants you to learn by doing, and in a way that makes your victories feel even more earned. Outward. A super unique open world RPG that's all about survival, exploration, and just figuring things out on your own. This isn't one of those games where you're the chosen one or some powerful hero right from the start. Nope. In Outward, you're just a regular person trying to survive in a dangerous, unforgiving world. And honestly, that's what makes it so cool. You start off in debt, literally, like you wake up in your shack and the town is about to kick you out unless you pay what you owe. There's no epic intro cutscene, no tutorial holding your hand, you just kind of go, alright, guess I better get some gear and start grinding. From there you head out into the world, and it's brutal in the best way. This game throws stuff at you that most RPGs don't even bother with. You have to eat, drink, sleep, stay warm or cool depending on the weather, avoid disease, patch up wounds, and deal with all kinds of status effects. If you're out in the wild and get wet, you might freeze. If you eat raw meat, you could get sick. It turns even basic travel into a real journey, and that gives everything weight. Just walking to a new town can take planning. What gear you bring, what food you pack, if you've got a tent or not. The combat is slow and tactical. It's not flashy or super smooth like in action RPGs, but it makes you think. You can't just button mash. You have to watch stamina, time your dodges, use traps, buffs, and learn enemy patterns. Magic is powerful, but takes a lot of effort to unlock. You literally have to go to a specific place and perform a ritual to even start using it. Again, nothing is just handed to you here. Now, the open world is big and beautiful, but it's also dangerous. The world's split into several large regions, each with its own environments, dungeons, and threats. No level scaling, no easy fast travel. If you go somewhere too early, you'll get destroyed, but that makes exploring feel real. You're not just going place to place checking boxes, you're surviving, planning, and discovering things at your own pace. What's really wild about Outward is how it handles failure. You can't just reload a save after dying. Instead, the game throws you into a defeat scenario. You might get captured by bandits and have to escape their camp, or someone might rescue you and drop you off far away. It makes every fight, every choice feel important because there are real consequences. Outward is for players who like the struggle. It doesn't try to make things easy, but when you survive a hard journey, beat a tough dungeon, or finally get your hands on good gear, it feels earned. It's one of the most unique RPGs out there, and if you're down for something slower, tougher, and super rewarding, this one's worth digging into. Kingdom Come Deliverance. One of the most grounded and realistic open world RPGs out there. No dragons, no magic, no ancient prophecies, just a brutal, dirty, medieval world that actually feels real. You're not a chosen one, you're not some legendary warrior, you're just Henry, the son of a blacksmith. And when the game starts, you're basically nobody. Can't fight, can't read, can't even shoot a bow straight. And that's kind of the whole point. Now, the open world in this game is stunning. It's based on real 15th century Bohemia, modern day Czech Republic, and it looks and feels like an actual historical place. Villages, castles, forests, rivers, it's all designed with crazy attention to detail. People have routines, shops open and close on schedule, and the world doesn't just revolve around you. If you're not where you're supposed to be, things can move on without you. But the real meat of the game is in the systems. Everything feels earned. If you want to get better at fighting, you have to trade. If you want to read, you have to actually learn how to read in-game. Skills grow slowly over time as you actually use them. Combat is super technical. It's all about timing, positioning, stamina, and choosing your strikes carefully. You can't just run in and swing wildly. Even a simple bandit can mess you up if you're not careful. And yeah, this game is hard at first. It doesn't hold your hand, there's no magic fast travel unless you unlock it later, no big glowing markers telling you where to go. You need to eat, sleep, clean your clothes, take care of your wounds, and pay attention to how people see you. Walk into a noble's hall covered in blood and dirt and they're not going to treat you like a hero. But that's what makes it so immersive. Quests are deep and a lot of them have multiple ways to solve them. You can sneak, bribe, talk your way through, or go in with your sword drawn. But everything has consequences. You might fail a quest just because you weren't fast enough, or because someone didn't like how you handled it. The game isn't afraid to let you mess up and it trusts you to live with it. Now, yeah, there are rough edges. The game had a buggy launch, and while it's much better now, it can still be a little clunky. The save system is weird, you need a special drink to save manually, the UI takes getting used to, and sometimes it can feel slow. But if you're into deep, realistic role-playing and a world that doesn't treat you like the center of the universe, Kingdom Come Deliverance hits different. It's one of those games that really sticks with you, especially once you start leveling up and making a name for yourself. You'll go from a scared peasant who can barely swing a sword to a full-blown knight, but you'll remember every step of how you got there. Yakuza Like a Dragon. You play as Ichiban Kasuga, a low-level Yakuza who goes to prison for a crime he didn't commit, thinking he's doing something honorable for his clan, but when he finally gets out 18 years later, he finds out everything's changed. His old boss betrayed him, the world moved on, and he's basically been forgotten. So yeah, dude's rock bottom, but instead of turning bitter, Ichiban stays positive, loyal, and hopeful, and that's what makes him stand out. He's not a brooding anti-hero, he's a full-on RPG nerd who literally sees life like a turn-based game. And that's where things get really fun. Unlike past Yakuza games, this one ditches real-time brawling and goes full turn-based RPG like classic Final Fantasy style. You got a full party, each with their own job class, which is hilarious by the way since you're fighting on the streets of Yokohama. One guy can be a breakdancer, another throws pigeons at enemies, one uses a frying pan. It's absurd but also kinda genius. The game treats street brawls like full RPG battles, complete with status effects, buffs, elemental damage, the whole deal. The city of Ijincho is your big open world zone. It's not as massive as something like Cyberpunk or Witcher 3, but it's packed with stuff to do. Side stories, minigames, secret dungeons, item collecting, crafting, even running your own company. Seriously, there's a whole business management sim in here. The world feels lived in, not because it's massive, but because it's dense, with weird, funny, emotional things to stumble into. Story-wise, it's got that Yakuza drama, betrayal, loyalty, crime family politics, emotional twists, but with Ichiban at the center, it feels fresh and more heartfelt. He's a dork, but he's got heart. And watching him build a found family from total strangers is honestly one of the best parts of the whole thing. Now yeah, some folks might say it's not open world enough, but honestly, the amount of freedom you get in Ijincho combined with all the RPG systems, the insane job classes, and the story branching, it 100% earns a spot on a best open world RPG list. Yakuza Like a Dragon is weird, funny, deep, and totally unique. And if you want something that mixes turn-based RPG combat with street-level storytelling and a ton of heart, this game hits hard. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you're looking for a game that will easily keep you hooked for over 100 hours, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a no-brainer. This sequel doesn't just build on the foundation of Remake, it massively expands it in almost every way. The world is larger, the combat is deeper, and the amount of content packed into the game is absolutely staggering. Right from the start, Rebirth makes it clear that it's aiming for epic scale. The game's semi-open world design lets you freely explore large, detailed regions filled with side quests, hidden bosses, and lore-rich discoveries. Whether you're tracking down rare materia, hunting challenging monsters, or simply wandering off the beaten path, you'll constantly find yourself distracted by new activities. Even simple detours like chocobo racing or minigames will have you burning through hours without realizing it. The combat system is another area where Rebirth shines. It blends real-time action with tactical strategy, creating battles that feel cinematic but still require careful planning. The addition of tag team synergy abilities gives combat even more depth, making it feel dynamic and rewarding. Each character has their own playstyle, and learning to perfectly time team-up attacks becomes incredibly satisfying, especially in the late-game encounter. But what really makes Final Fantasy VII Rebirth such a massive time sink is the sheer amount of side content. The game is packed with optional bosses, weapon upgrades, and hidden materia that will have you constantly backtracking and experimenting with new builds. And if you're the kind of player who likes to fully immerse yourself in the world, you'll spend countless hours completing side missions, participating in mini-games, and exploring every corner of the map. The story itself is also much larger and more ambitious than Remake. It takes deeper narrative detours, fleshing out characters, and adding entirely new arcs. The emotional moments hit harder, and the expanded character development makes you genuinely care about the cast, whether it's Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, or even the more minor characters. For players who want to experience everything Rebirth has to offer, including all the side content, secret bosses, and post-game challenges, you're easily looking at 100 and 150 plus hours of gameplay. And the best part, the game stays consistently engaging throughout. The mix of exploration, combat, and character moments makes it incredibly easy to lose track of time. If you're after a massive single-player experience with a ton of depth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will completely consume your free time, and you'll be glad it did. Yakuza 5. Yakuza 5 is the kind of game where you'll sit down for a quick session and suddenly it's been 6 hours and you're running a taxi service, managing a ramen shop, and somehow also fighting a bear. It's massive, unpredictable, and filled with so much content, you'll constantly find yourself sidetracked by random activities and you'll love every second of it. The story is wild and ambitious. This time you're not just playing as Kazuma Kiryu, you'll also step into the shoes of 4 other characters, each with their own unique fighting styles and personal stories. Kiryu, who's trying to live a quiet life as a taxi driver, gets dragged back into the crime world when the Tojo clan's troubles resurface. And then there's Taiga Sayajima, the hulking beast of a man who fights his way through the snowy mountains, literally brawling with a frickin' bear at one point. You also play as Shun Akiyama, the smooth-talking loan shark with fast, flashy combat moves. And finally, Tatsuo Shinada, a washed-up former baseball player who gets tangled up in a conspiracy as he tries to clear his name. But the most surprising twist? You also play as Haruka, Kiryu's adoptive daughter. Instead of punching thugs, she's chasing her dream of becoming a pop idol, which means her entire section is a rhythm-based dance showdown. It's a huge departure from the usual Yakuza action, but somehow it's still ridiculously fun. You'll be competing in dance battles, winning over fans, and training for the big stage, all while getting caught up in shady industry drama. The combat in Yakuza 5 is better than ever, with each character bringing their own style. Kiryu is the all-around powerhouse, able to chain combos and pull off brutal heat actions. Saejima is slower, but hits like a freight train, smashing through groups of enemies. Akiyama's fast, acrobatic style lets you juggle enemies mid-air, making him feel super slick. And Shinada, his wild, scrappy fighting is surprisingly fun, with grappling moves and baseball bat skills that make him stand out. But what really makes Yakuza 5 special is the insane amount of side content. You'll easily spend dozens of hours just goofing off and having a blast. You can race taxis with Kiryu in full-on street racing showdowns, go hunting in the snowy wilderness with Saejima, tracking and taking down wild animals, enter dance battles as Haruka, where you'll face off against rival idols in rhythm game-style duels. And also, you'll explore 5 massive locations, each with its own vibe and activities. You've got Kamurocho's neon-lit streets, Nagoya's rougher edges, and the snowy, quiet town of Tsukimino, which gives off some serious Yakuza meets Silent Hill vibes. The Long Dark. The Long Dark is one of those games that quietly sneaks up on you, and before you know it, you're completely obsessed. You'll start off just trying to survive for a day or two, and suddenly it's been 15 hours and you're carefully rationing your last can of beans while hiding from a pack of wolves. It's slow, methodical, and brutally realistic, but somehow impossible to put down. The game drops you into the frozen wilderness of Canada after a mysterious geomagnetic event shuts down all technology. No cars, no phones, no help, just you, the freezing cold, and nature trying to kill you. You're not some super soldier or action hero, you're just an ordinary person, which makes every small victory feel massive. Finding a single can of soup or a worn out pair of gloves feels like winning the lottery because everything in this game is out to get you, the weather, the wildlife, and even your own poor planning. The atmosphere is absolutely haunting, the world is quiet, eerie, and lonely, no music, just the howling wind, the crunch of snow under your boots, and the distant howl of wolves that immediately makes you clutch your rifle a little tighter. The visuals are simple but beautiful. The stylized, painterly art style makes the world look like a frozen painting with vibrant sunsets, frozen lakes, and snow-covered forests. But don't let the beauty fool you, this game is downright merciless. The survival mechanics are the real star of the show. You'll need to constantly manage your temperature, hunger, thirst, and fatigue, and every decision feels like it matters. Do you risk crossing a frozen lake to reach a cabin, or do you play it safe and stick to the forest even though it'll take twice as long? Do you eat your last candy bar now, or save it for when you're truly starving? The game never holds your hand, it just throws you into the wilderness and watches you struggle. And the wildlife? Oh man, it's not here for decoration, it's here to end you. Wolves will stalk you relentlessly, and if you get too close, they'll rush you without hesitation. If you survive the fight, you'll probably still bleed out unless you patch yourself up fast. And then there are the bears, which are just terrifying. The moment you spot one in the distance, you'll start planning your escape route, because you definitely don't want to run into one without a rifle. But it's not just about fighting to survive, it's about adapting and thriving. You'll learn to hunt deer, set traps for rabbits, and carefully craft clothing from animal pelts to stay warm. You'll scavenge abandoned cabins, carefully search cars, and loot whatever supplies you can find. And the longer you survive, the more self-sufficient you become. You'll start building makeshift shelters, repairing clothes, and cooking meals over a fire. It's slow, deliberate survival, and that's what makes it so addictive. The game also features a story mode called Winter Mute, which adds more structure and character-driven narrative. You play as Will Mackenzie, a bush pilot who crash lands in the wilderness after the mysterious event. As you search for your missing passenger, you'll explore the frozen landscape, meet other survivors, and uncover the secrets of what caused the event. The story is emotional and atmospheric, but the real star of the game is still the survival experience itself. Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those games that sets the bar so high it's hard to even see the top of the mountain from where other games stand. It's an absolute beast of a game, and every time you think you've seen it all, it pulls you deeper into its world, making you realize that it's not just a game, it's a living, breathing universe. First off, the story. Holy hell, the story. You're Arthur Morgan, a member of the Vanderlyn gang, and right from the start, you're sucked into this gritty, emotional journey that doesn't just tell you a story, it makes you feel it. Arthur's struggle between loyalty to his gang and realizing they're heading down a dangerous road is something you'll feel in your gut. It's one of those stories that sticks with you long after you finish the game. The characters, they're all memorable, each one with their own unique personalities and struggles. You'll love some, hate others, but all of them leave an impression.
About some hill country sheriff stealing a chicken, I think it was.
The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is just insane. You're not just playing through a bunch of missions, you're living in this massive open world environment that feels real. Like if you stop and look around, you'll see everything from wildlife to weather changes to NPCs going about their daily lives. You can hunt, fish, rob trains, or just get lost in the beauty of the game's wilderness. The attention to detail is next level. You can literally feel the cold when you're out in the snow, or sweat as you ride through the heat of the desert. It's like Rockstar took everything they learned from Grand Theft Auto and turned it up to 11, with the added depth of the Old West. And the gameplay, it's all about the immersion. The shooting feels solid, the horseback riding is smooth, and the way you interact with the world is intuitive but not oversimplified. Every interaction feels weighty, like there are consequences to what you do. You want to play the hero? Go ahead, help out strangers, but be ready to carry the weight of your choices. You want to be a ruthless outlaw? You can go down that path too, but don't be surprised when it all starts catching up to you. Every action, every decision matters, and that's a rare thing in games today.
Now you keep your mouth shut.
Let's not forget about the side activities. Sure, you could stick to the main story, but you'll be doing yourself a huge disservice. There are so many things to do in the game, like hunting legendary animals, playing poker, treasure hunting, or even just sitting around the campfire and listening to stories. It's all part of the experience, and it gives the game an incredible sense of depth. And if the story and world weren't enough, the visuals? damn. It's one of the best looking games ever made, whether it's the sun setting over the mountains or the snow drifting over a quiet town. Every scene feels like it could be a postcard. The sound design is just as impressive, the soundtrack is subtle but perfect, and the way the world sounds, animals, gunshots, footsteps in the mud, everything is so rich and real.
It's all what matters.
Do as you're goddamn told.
It is us or him.
Dying Light. It's like if you took parkour, zombies, and a whole lot of adrenaline, threw them into a blender, and turned it up to max. It's an open world zombie apocalypse game, but with a twist. You're not just creeping around looking for supplies. Nah, you're running, jumping, and climbing all over the place like some kind of zombie fighting ninja. First off, the parkour is smooth as butter. You'll be running through the streets, vaulting over fences, sliding under trucks, and just straight up leaping off buildings like you got superpowers. Seriously, it feels so good to parkour in this game. It's not just about surviving the apocalypse. It's about looking freaking awesome while doing it. You'll find yourself climbing up skyscrapers, doing flips off the side, and then boom, down into a zombie-filled street with a sick weapon in hand, ready to take on the horde. The zombies? Well, they're scary as heck. During the day, they're pretty slow and easy to handle. You can sneak around, do your thing, scavenge, and get stuff done. But once the sun sets, oh boy, it's a different story. Nighttime in Dying Light is when the game really kicks it into high gear. The infected become faster, more aggressive, and there are some real freaky ones out there that'll make you wish you had a better flashlight. You can't just casually stroll around at night. You gotta hustle, find safe zones, and pray you make it through the night alive. It's intense, and it adds this real sense of danger and excitement that a lot of other zombie games don't have. The combat is also top-notch. You've got a variety of weapons at your disposal, everything from bats and knives to shotguns and katanas. You can upgrade and modify them to make them even more badass, like adding electric mods or fire effects to turn your weapons into freaking tools of mass destruction. Plus, you can swing those weapons like you're trying to take down the whole freaking zombie army, and the combat feels smooth and satisfying. When you take down a group of zombies, it's like you're in your own action movie, except instead of a cool one-liner, you're just covered in blood and grinning like a maniac. But there's also this sense of freedom in Dying Light. The world is huge and there's always something to do. You're constantly unlocking new areas, finding new people, and encountering side quests that add layers to the story. It's one of those games where you just want to keep exploring because you never know what you're gonna find. Maybe it's a cool weapon stash, maybe it's a horde of zombies, or maybe it's just a random group of survivors who need help. Either way, the world feels alive, even if the majority of it is crawling with the undead. Hitman Trilogy. Man, if you're into stealth, creativity, and making the perfect plan only to see it all go to hell in the best possible way, this is the series for you. This isn't just about sneaking around and taking people out, it's about being a total pro at it. The main guy, Agent 47.A, bald, barcode-headed assassin with a suit, a briefcase, and all the cool gadgets and disguises you could dream of. So in these games, you're basically given a mission to eliminate someone, and the world is your playground. You're not just going in with guns blazing like a maniac, though hey, you can totally do that if you want to. No, the fun is in being creative. You can plan your approach however you want. Maybe you poison someone's drink, set up a crazy accident, or just straight up disguise yourself as a bodyguard and walk right up to your target. It's all about thinking through how you're gonna make that perfect kill. The levels are huge and every mission is packed with NPCs who have their own routines. The world feels alive, which is awesome because you get to sneak around and watch people learn their patterns and figure out the best way to move. Some of the locations are insane too, like a mansion, a luxury resort, or even a fashion show. You get to take out your target in style. One of the best parts, the replayability. You can beat a mission one way, but then you'll start thinking, what if I did it this way? And so you try a completely different approach. Every time you finish a mission, you get this rush of satisfaction like you've just pulled off the perfect heist without anyone even noticing. But screw up just once and boom! The whole thing falls apart and you'll have to go back to the drawing board. And trust me, you'll screw up plenty. And let's talk about the art of disguising yourself. You can become a waiter, a janitor, a guard, you name it. It's hilarious and you'll find yourself in these absurd absurd situations trying to act cool when you're clearly not, but hey, it's part of the fun. Plus, the AI is smart, so if you get a little too comfy, they'll catch on to you eventually. You can't just walk around acting like you own the place. The trilogy as a whole keeps getting better and better with each game. The third one, Hitman 3, brings everything together, offering even more creative ways to take out targets. The levels are bigger, the challenges are tougher, and the overall story is wrapped up in a way that gives you a sense of completion, though I wouldn't mind seeing more. To sum it up, if you're into stealth, problem solving, and just having a blast coming up with ridiculously fun ways to kill someone, in a totally professional, non-psycho way of course, the Hitman Trilogy is one of the best series to dive into. You're not just playing to finish missions, you're playing to see just how crazy and creative you can get while pulling off the perfect hit. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Alright, look, Skyrim is that one RPG almost everyone's heard of, even if they've never played it. And honestly, there's a reason people are still talking about it over a decade later, and yeah, buying it again for the 14th time. You start the game as a prisoner, classic Elder Scrolls move, seconds away from getting your head chopped off. Then, boom, dragon attack. Chaos breaks out, you escape, and pretty soon you find out you're the Dragonborn, someone who can absorb dragon souls and yell magical words so hard it sends people flying. No big deal. From there, you're pretty much free to do whatever the hell you want. Want to follow the main story and fight ancient dragons? Cool! Want to join a guild of sneaky assassins or become a powerful mage? Go for it. Prefer to just run around stealing cheese wheels and adopting orphans? Sure, why not? Skyrim doesn't care how you play, it just wants you to explore and live your own little fantasy life. The world is huge and beautiful in that rugged Nordic kind of way. Snowy mountains, haunted ruins, cozy little villages. It's got that I'll just explore for 10 more minutes vibe, and then suddenly it's 3 AM. There are quests everywhere, and even the small ones can lead to cool stories or weird moments, like getting drunk with a stranger and waking up in a temple with a goat you borrowed. And we gotta talk about mods. The modding community for Skyrim is insane. People have added new quests, better graphics, whole new regions, even turned the game into freaking Star Wars. On PC, it's basically a never-ending game. Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 is everything you want in a classic Dungeons & Dragons style RPG, but with a modern twist. It's an absolute masterpiece that's been in the making for years, and trust me, the wait was totally worth it. Set in the iconic Baldur's Gate universe, it takes you on a journey through a world full of deep lore, magic, monsters, and complex characters. You start as a character who's been infected with a dangerous tadpole from a mind flayer, which grants you some powerful but potentially deadly abilities. From there, you're thrown into a world of chaos and intrigue, with your choices shaping everything around you. What's amazing about Baldur's Gate 3 is how much freedom it gives you. It's all about role-playing and making decisions that have real consequences. Want to play as a sneaky rogue who talks their way out of everything? You can do that. Want to charge in as a tanky barbarian and smash enemies into the ground? Yep, that works too. The character creation system is super deep, with tons of classes, races, and abilities to choose from. You can literally shape your character however you want, and it's crazy satisfying to experiment with different builds. Baldur's Gate 3 is all about building relationships. Your companions are more than just people you bring along to fight. They each have rich backstories, their own goals, and their own opinions on the things you do. You get into some deep conversations, have moments of personal growth, and yeah, you might even fall in love with some of them. Or hate them, depending on how you act. The characters feel like real people with their own desires, fears, and motivations, and that really elevates the story. Game's world is also massive and full of things to do, from creepy dungeons and forgotten temples to bustling towns and mysterious forests. There's always something new to discover. It's rich in lore, and you'll find yourself wanting to dig deeper into the history of the world and the characters who inhabit it. Wasteland 3. Wasteland 3 is the kind of game that grabs you with its dark humor, tough decisions, and a world that feels alive with danger and opportunity. Set in a post-apocalyptic America, you play as a member of the Desert Rangers, a group of survivors trying to bring some order to the chaos. The story starts when you get a call for help from a leader in Colorado offering a chance to rebuild. But of course, nothing's that simple. The region is full of factions with their own agendas, and you'll quickly find yourself tangled up in politics, betrayal, and tough choices. One of the coolest things about Wasteland 3 is how it lets you decide what kind of person your character is. You can be a smooth talker who solves problems with words, or you can go in guns blazing, ready to take on anyone who gets in your way. And it's not just about how you fight, it's about the choices you make, the people you trust, and the way you navigate the moral gray areas of this broken world. Every decision has an impact, and you'll see the consequences of your actions play out throughout the game. Combat in Wasteland 3 is turn-based and all about strategy. You'll need to think ahead, use cover, and make the most of your team's abilities. The battles are tough, and you won't always win by just running in and shooting everything in sight. You'll need to plan your moves carefully, especially if you want to come out on top. Plus, the game gives you a lot of freedom to customize your characters with different skills and perks, so you can create the perfect team for your play style. The Kenshi. If you've ever wanted to dive into a gritty, open-world RPG that doesn't hold your hand, Kenshi is right up your alley. This game is a deep sandbox experience set in a brutal, post-apocalyptic world where survival is the name of the game. There's no clear hero's journey here. Kenshi lets you make your own story, and it can be as chaotic, challenging, or rewarding as you make it. You start as a nobody. Literally anyone. You can pick from a handful of preset characters or just create your own with no special background or significant powers. You're not the chosen one here. The world of Kenshi is unforgiving, filled with hostile factions, dangerous wildlife, and harsh terrain. You'll need to scavenge for food, repair your broken equipment, and manage injuries. One bad decision can get you captured, enslaved, or killed. The best part about Kenshi is its open-ended gameplay. There's no linear storyline to follow. Instead, you get to create your own path. Want to become a wandering mercenary, a thief, or maybe a trader? You can do all that and more. You can even build your own base, gather resources, and grow your own little faction. You might also choose to live as a simple farmer, crafting goods and trading with others. Or maybe you want to conquer the world and become a warlord. There's no limit to how you want to play. The game has a real-time, squad-based combat system, and battles can be pretty intense. The controls might feel clunky at first, but once you get the hang of it, managing your group and taking on enemies becomes an engaging challenge. Combat is brutal, and your characters can get injured, leaving them limping or even incapacitated. You can recruit other people to join your squad, but keeping them alive is a whole different ballgame. The world of Kenshi is vast and absolutely packed with things to discover. There are dozens of different factions, each with their own goals and agendas. Whether it's a nomadic group of traders or a militant empire, each area has its own vibe and risks. The world feels alive with opportunity and danger, and your actions can change how certain factions treat you. The art style is pretty unique. Kenshi has this rough, almost hand-drawn look with detailed environments that feel real and lived in. The world is huge with deserts, forests, and ruined cities scattered around. The game doesn't spoon-feed you any details, but the world tells its story through its environments, making exploration feel all the more rewarding. Ni no Kuni 2: Revenant Kingdom. So Kuni 2: Revenant Kingdom is like stepping into a beautiful animated world straight out of a Studio Ghibli movie. If you've played the first Ni no Kuni, you already know the art style and charm this series brings, but the sequel takes everything to the next level with a new story, fresh mechanics, and an even bigger world to explore. You play as Evan Pettywhisker Tildrum, a young king whose kingdom has been taken over by a ruthless enemy. After losing his throne, Evan sets out on a journey to rebuild his kingdom and bring peace to the world. Along the way, he's joined by a quirky cast of characters, including Roland, a mysterious man from another world, and Tani, a tough, no-nonsense princess. The game's story has a nice balance of heart, humor, and adventure, with a good mix of lighter moments and deeper emotional beats as Evan's journey unfolds. The real magic of Ni no Kuni 2 lies in its gameplay. It's a mix of traditional JRPG combat and some interesting twists. The battle system is action-packed and real-time, unlike the turn-based system of the first game. You'll be fighting monsters, using spells, and switching between characters during combat to make the most of their unique abilities. It's fast-paced, but also gives you plenty of room to strategize and get creative with your moves. But it's not all just fighting. There's also a strong focus on building and managing your kingdom. You'll gather resources, recruit citizens, and build up your town to make it thrive. The kingdom building part of the game is fun and gives you something to work toward as you progress through the main story. It's kind of like your own little side project that's always there to give you something extra to do between major quests. Plus, the mini-games and side activities like gathering troops for battle or exploring dungeons keep things fresh. Ni no Kuni 2 is a feel-good game full of heart, adventure, and a ton of charm. It's perfect for anyone who loves a good JRPG with a mix of exploration, action, and kingdom building. The story is sweet, the world is beautiful, and the gameplay is fun and engaging. If you're in the mood for something lighthearted but still epic in scope, Ni no Kuni 2 is definitely worth checking out.